رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين المصطفى أبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم إلى قيامة يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، يا غريب كربلاء، رزقنا الله في الدنيا زيارتكم وشفاعتكم في الدنيا وفي القبر وفي الآخرة. أما بعد، فقد قال الله في محكم كتابه وقرآنه المجيد وقوله الحق: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: وما قدروا الله حق قدره والأرض جميعا قبضته يوم القيامة والسماوات مطويات بيمينه سبحانه وتعالى عما يشركون. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم الشريف. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, tonight we will be moving into our 5th night of lectures, where we will be talking about the same topic, about physics and hope and reconnecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But specifically, we will be talking about returning to a childlike mentality, right? And specifically, we are going to be doing this through intentional Husn Al-Dhann. For the last couple of nights, we have been trying to erase this preconceived notion, this pre-programmed notion that we have pretty much established that all of us have, through no fault of our own, been raised with. That we see things as cause and effect instead of as ilaqat. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the true musabbib al-asbab, is the true cause behind all effects. You see, brothers and sisters, the reason why I wanted to talk a little bit about the state of children is because we have a couple of hadith, very important hadith, where the Imams, for example, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, alayhim as-salam, have said essentially that a mu'min should be like a child in their heart and an adult in their mind. Why? Because the child has this fitrah. They are pure, they are innocent, right? And they don't have these preconceived notions or judgments. They don't have any of these, we call them in modern day language, baggages that come with being an adult, right? Obviously, all of us were created as children except for Adam and Hawa, who were created in full adult form. So when you see For example, in Nahj al-Balagha, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, right, in letter number 31, he says that truly the heart of a youth is like uncultivated land. It accepts whatever is cast upon it. And that's exactly what we were talking about yesterday as well, from a psychological perspective as well. That in the systems that we were talking about, when you choose a path, for example, in that snow sled, right? And you go down that hill, you keep on going down that hill and you create the habit. And now that hill has your groove, your one path. And eventually, when worse weather comes, it'll solidify ice. This is similar to the heart of a child. It is soft, it is pliable, it'll accept whatever is cast upon it. This is also something that we see from Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Where he says that children are born upon fitrah. It is their parents who will go and turn them into Jews or Christians or whatever else. This is not the kid coming out of the womb into the world and saying, well, this is how I was born. I was born as a Jew or a Christian. And I mean, we could even go to the extent and say that they weren't born as a Muslim either. I know we like to say that reverts eventually came back to their original religion, right? But what is actually fitrah? Fitrah is that pure state where if you find evidence, then you accept it. If it makes sense to you and the argument is proven, then you accept it. This is what a logical person would do. They're not stubborn. They're not, as Dua Kumail, Imam Ali alayhi salam says, they are not of the mu'anideen. Right? If we could stop the recordings, inshallah, it is being recorded by the center. Thank you so much. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Afwan, it just becomes a little bit distracting. If we could have another loud salawat. So when Rasulullah says that these, different religions, these different paths are cast upon the children and they become the way that they eventually do things, right? They eventually learn and pick up the ways of their Jewish parents or their Christian parents or even their Muslim parents, right? Then this is not something that they were born with. When Imam Ali alayhi salam says that the heart of a child is pure and other sayings of the Imams come and say that this is a state that you should attain and you should aspire to in your heart, then understand that this is something that we may be lacking in our day-to-day lives. It doesn't mean that we become immature. No. In your mind, you stay as an adult. You stay rational. Doesn't mean you go back to, playing with toys and you watch cartoons all day. And no. Eventually you have to move on. What it does mean is that in your sociability, as Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam directly points out, you should be more like a child. And so let's examine that really quickly. A child, when someone goes and says something to them, or for example, if mom and dad come and tell the child, go say sorry, right? When they say sorry, they might be a little bit resistant, yes? But when they actually do say sorry, they mean it. There's no sarcasm, there's no subtle, tongue-in-cheek, backhanded comment. There's no backhanded compliments. Purely and sincerely, they actually mean sorry. This is one thing that we can learn from our youth, from children in general. Number two, in their sociability, they're very amicable. They can very easily go and make friends. This is why parents, for example, are so easy with moving when their kids are young, because they know that eventually they'll go and find friends again. It becomes a little bit harder the older you are, because then you're like, well, how am I going to start all over again? If I leave Dallas, if I go, let's say, back home to Pakistan or Afghanistan or Iraq, who's back over there? Who will I go and meet? It is very difficult, not just because we are not as friendly, but because people have already made cliques and they've already got their social circles and they don't want to accept newcomers. It's very hard to accept new friends and to be accepted. This is something that we should learn from kids, to be more friendly, to invite people into our centers, into our friend groups. But the next aspect, the one that I want to focus on more with Husn al-Dhann, right? Because this is technically, from a child's perspective, this is Husn al-Dhann, to have the better opinion of someone. Yes or no? This is why we have to go and tell them to not trust strangers, because they'll just easily accept that, oh yeah, this guy with a big white van, he just has a lot of candy, and he told me if I get into his truck, he'll give me more candy. We have to go and tell the kid, hey, you know, you have to be a little bit street smart, you know. You can't just go and trust anybody who goes and says, you know, I mean well for you, right? A lot of people will go and say that, but they have the worst of intentions. So yes, we have to be wise. We have to have the intellect and know that there may be people, there may be actors out there who, even though they may be disguising their actions through niceties, yet we still have to go and approach them with kindness. Look at how the imams throughout their lives always reacted even to those who wished harm upon them. For those of you who have seen the masterful series of Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam from 2002-2003 made by the Islamic Republic, Imam Rida alayhi salam is kind even to those who he knows full well, because he has, you know, ilm al-ghayb, that this person or that person are scheming against him. Day and night they're scheming against him. Yet when he meets them, he acts almost like he's oblivious. And he just treats them kindly. If they act upon it, he's already 10 steps ahead. He doesn't have to go and show them or point out to them, you know, in your private guftagu with your wife, you were saying this about me and you were saying that about me and you were planning and scheming and doing this. Doesn't do any of that. Same thing with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We hear the conversations, for example, that he has with Umar bin Sa'ad, with, for example, Shimr, with, for example, Zajar, right? All of these people. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam comes to them with utmost khulus. Why? Is Imam playing naive? No, it's because his heart still expects that somewhere in there they will see what's right. Now, it's their fault if they don't, but he has to believe in the good that is in them. If you and I start writing off people that, this one, brother, you don't understand what this person did to me. You don't understand what this person came and did to my father. My father was on the, for example, Fulan board, and they didn't let him go and serve water one time for Fatimiyya. I will never forgive him. I will never forgive his family. Till the day I die, if anyone even mentions their family, too, I will go and walk away. Yes? These kinds of deep-seated hatreds and these kinds of deep-seated animosities, what are we doing here? You would expect this kind of behavior from children. And yet the children are the ones who will actually go and forgive. The children are the ones who, you could go and call this goldfish memory. That they don't take this into the rest of their lives. Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe a bully here or there who really, really traumatizes them. They're going to be a little bit shy, scared. They're not going to want to repeat, the same mistake twice. Understandable. But we come and we start attaching labels. We start attaching personas. We want to go and be done with people as quickly as possible. Let me box this person away and then say ma'a salama. This is why we ask the kinds of questions we do. Oh, where are you from? Okay. Oh, well, for example, who did you vote for? Okay. Well, which center do you go to? Okay. And then we go and take these kinds of boxes, these ticked off boxes. I don't have to go and learn too much about this person now. I already got everything figured out. And we take that into serious matters as well. These presumptions that we have, we carry them into marriage and into recommendations for marriage. People come up to us and they're like, can you recommend this brother or not? Can you recommend this sister or not? And what's the answer that they'll go and give? Well, I don't know too much, but I mean, what I do know, you're better off staying away from this person. You're going after this person's reputation and character based off of the smallest amount of information that you know. Yesterday, from this same member, in the Urdu lecture, Maulana Khatib was saying, for example, how much ma'rifah do you know of, for example, Messi, right? The World Cup, soccer player. And everyone will go and say, okay, yeah, we know him. Well, how do you know him? Through TV, through pictures. How about Ayatollah Sistani? There are different levels of knowing, yes? Yeah, okay, fine. I have his picture in my house. I know him. No. Then one step more is, well, I've been to ziyarah. I've gone and I've actually seen him. I haven't met him, but I've seen him. Another one comes and says, for example, 20 to 30 years, I've actually studied under him. One is not like the other, right? Now, if I go and ask the third one for an opinion of Ayatollah Sistani, I'm going to get a much better, much more nuanced, and probably much more accurate picture of Agha Sistani. The first one, what is he going to be able to tell me from a picture? The brother probably hasn't even heard his voice, doesn't know probably the majority of his fatwa, knows whatever he needs to know, and alhamdulillah for even that. But much more than that, can't really rely on that. So, brothers and sisters, this brings me now to the topic at hand, which is quantum entanglement. In quantum entanglement, right, there is this yearning that you might have when you want to go and change. You want to go and change your habits. You want to go and change your lifestyle. You want to change your reality. And yet, what the wrong way to do this will have you eventually reaching is the reach. You'll keep on just looking at this distance that, Ya Allah, I really would like this house. And every single time that you go and ask Allah for that beautiful house, all you feel through your body, through physical emotions, that I'll go and list a couple of those emotions through various scenarios that we've all been through, you keep on feeling the gap. You keep on feeling the reach. And you're like, I just keep on trying so hard to get that house, that car, that spouse, that job, that academic school's recognition and their admission letter. You keep on feeling the gap. Whereas the actual way that you would want to do dua is the exact opposite. You want to focus on the feelings and the, like we said yesterday, right? Having that hudur al-qalb, having that presence of the heart, such that as if you already had it. You have so much yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you don't even have a shak that it's going to happen. Just like yesterday when we said in that hadith of Musa alayhi salam, where he was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that ask me even for the things as small as the salt on your food. If I go and ask the brother over here, that I say, Brother Hur, could you pass me the salt? I remember that it's Allah who is actually the cause that I will get the salt. This brother is just a sabab. He is just a tool. Without Allah's hawl and quwwah, he doesn't have any power. Right? This is why we say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. When you can actually see the thing that you are asking for as if it is already here, as if you are already living with it, as if you've already are in the mode of receiving it. That is the kind of person who it makes sense for that to be true for. What do I mean by that? For example, you go and say, and I have some very interesting examples that have been documented that I'll come back to later. But let's say, for example, you want a very nice end car. Yeah? You want a Rolls Royce, you want a Bugatti, you want whatever. The kinds of people who drive those are, for example, high-end real estate agents, or their doctors, or their lawyers. Very, very elite class of people, right? The only other people who go and drive them are people who rent them off of Turo, and then they go and record YouTube videos, and they say, hey, look at all of the cars that I have, come buy my course, and they don't actually have any cars. So which one do you want to be? Well, if you want to be the high net worth individual, you need to go and actually start seeing yourself in those roles. Without a high paying salary, you can't just get there given your current lifestyle. I'll give you an example, right? A documented example, because this is ajib, very, very ajib. A woman, a professor, was going through some hard times, financial hard times. Said, I really, really need to change my life. I really need money immediately. Like, rent is past due. I'm about to have my car repoed, for example, right? I can't, buy, past 2 weeks of groceries. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth, essentially. She goes, does a little bit of research, starts to really, really understand these kinds of topics that we're talking about. And she slightly misapplies it, but even with a misapplication, it's very interesting. She starts to do things that normally she wouldn't do, because the person who I was would never have done these. The person who she was, namely, would never have bought a lottery ticket. I'm not saying that any of us should buy lottery tickets, but this person, just for the sake of example, bought a lottery ticket. Goes on to go buy pizza for the family and, goes home, forgets about the lottery ticket. She goes to go and change out of her clothes because some of the grease of the pizza box got onto her clothes. The family is watching in front of the TV. And what do they see? Okay, the lottery numbers are being called. When the lottery numbers are being called, one of the numbers that's called is hers. They go and run inside to go and tell her while she's changing her clothes, say, hey, your number got called. You actually won the lottery. Now, it wasn't the mega millions or the whatever, right? It was a small portion, and after taxes, right? Obviously, even in this, the government has to take their cut. What was left was roughly, if I remember the number correctly, something, let's say $53,000. $53,000 is pretty good, right? Here's where it gets ajib. All of her past due bills and everything that she needed totaled up to exactly 53,000 and whatever change dollars. Now, the lesson that she took away from this is, well, next time I'll go and, inshallah, what we would go and say, I would go and ask Allah for what I need plus more. We have been taught that, Ya Allah, give me what is known in Arabic as al-kafaf. Same root word as our major hadith book, al-kafi. Al-kafaf is basically what we need. More than what you need, you don't need to be tested with. You don't need to be tried with. You just need what you actually need for your day-to-day lives. If you can ask with that kind of mentality and do things that someone who is ready to receive, whether it's $50,000, whether it's $53,000, whether it's 100, whether it's 100 million, right? But the kinds of personalities that receive, and I'm not saying, again, to go and buy lottery tickets. This is not the message that I'm trying to send over here. But the message is that the way how you make dua has to be different. You can't just go and verbally say it with your tongue, and then inside you are feeling and sending a completely different signal. What do I mean? For example, and some of these I've written down, there's too many for me to be able to go through all of them. That's why I wrote it down. For example, tightness in your chest. When something is about to go well, there's a giddiness. You feel that tightness in your chest, like, oh my God, this is going to feel so good. I know it's coming, and I'm about to actually receive it. You know why this happens, brothers and sisters? It's because that mind that we've been talking about for the last few nights, it's not just a silent observer looking out into the world and just seeing what the world has to offer it. It's a prediction machine. That prediction machine has seen things in the past. The proof of this, by the way, is babies. Going back again to children. Children, I have mine here today. He's been good so far. We haven't heard his loud cries. He doesn't know what fire is, though. Right? When he was given cake on his first birthday, immediately, first time he's ever seen fire on the little candle, immediately what does he go and do? He tries to go and grab it. Natural curiosity and instinct, right? We had to go and push his hand away, quickly take a paper plate and, fan out the flame and just pretend that, the camera didn't see any of that. He doesn't know any better about fire. He doesn't know any better about ice. He doesn't know the extremities of hot and cold. But once he actually does for the first time touch it, and he realizes exactly the qualities of fire, now the brain is going to remember that, and it's not going to want to experience that again. Same thing with baths, right? If the water is too cold, he's going to flinch and shiver before he even knows that, oh no, this time it's lukewarm. Kids are very innocent because they don't carry any of this that we have into it. Now, you and I know that if I go and open the faucet on the left-hand side, it's going to be cold. If I open it on the right-hand side, it's going to be hot. The kid doesn't know that. You and I, this is that habit that we were talking about a couple of nights ago. This is what it means to be you. You have all of this baggage with you. You've been going down this same exact system such that you think that this is the reality. It's not. This is just a recreation of your past. Your body is starting to anticipate. It's starting to tense up. It's starting to feel, okay, hey, something is going to come really soon. And no one knows that better probably than my younger brothers and sisters. As soon as you get a letter grade that is below C, you know, oh my God, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. What's going to happen when I go back to my parents? It's either going to be a tappar, or it's going to be 2 weeks of no PlayStation 5, or it's going to be boot camp, or it's going to be you have to go to summer school now, or you can't hang out with your friends, or no phone, no TV. Yes? You have that tensing up feeling, and you know the worst is about to come. Similarly, you have that with good situations. You have a premonition. You know that, okay, I've done things the right way. I've calculated everything. And this should end out in my favor. I don't know if there was a technical glitch and everything is all right. Inshallah it is. Let's have a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let's have another loud salawat. Now here's where most people will start to take this wrong, right? That just because, yes, this is in the mind, it doesn't mean that the one that's actually giving the vote is the mind. It's more so the body. And this is what I meant by you have to feel the reality of the dua that you're making. These feelings that I'm telling you about, once you can go and start to pinpoint, oh, when I know that something is good and I'm anticipating that in the reality that I already expect, can I try to have that feeling and create a memory for my brain for the reality that I want? That I feel good, that I know that I'm going to have what I need. For example, for a rishta, for a good marriage. I know that it is coming. And you have that type of yaqeen, not just in your mind, and you're creating memories, but you're creating physical memories as well through your emotions and through bodily tightness and contractions and all of these kinds of situations that you feel on a day-to-day basis. Those same things that we experience at home. Sometimes all you have to do is just hear the name of, for example, for some people it is, unfortunately, their father. For some people it is their mother. For some people it's an older brother, an aunt, an uncle, whoever it is. Some people, it's their sons or daughters. And it's been ages since they talked to their sons or daughters because of one conversation that went wrong, a misunderstanding. And because of that, they don't really want to keep too much in contact with them, because if they go back to them, they'll experience the same exact type of blowback once again. Here I see everybody in the audience. Their eyes have gone down, and you guys are all introspective. You guys know what I'm talking about. What can we do to start repairing those relationships? Number one, you have to have Husn Al-Dhann. You have to have benefit of the doubt for them, just like a kid would. You have to be forgiving yourself. You have to see that when you point a finger outwards, there are 3 fingers that are pointing inwards back towards you. And you have to take self-accountability and responsibility. And you have to see, where did I go wrong in this? And let me be the bigger person and try to prevent and try to forecast what their objections to me would be. Let me try to go and make amends with this family member. Nobody wants to live with a Fir'aun at home. Nobody wants to live with someone who's, dancing around the 1-bedroom apartment as if he is Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. Right? That you will listen to my dictates and nothing else. And no. You want to live in a peaceful, amiable situation at home. You want to have a wife and children who are وَجَعَلْنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ, right? Make them be قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ for us. So at that first level, that Husn al-Dhann has to start in our nuclear families. It has to be there. And the way how you can start to do this, by the way, brothers and sisters, is you have to go and ask these questions. Did anybody ever intend for this situation? Was anybody ever actually trying hard for Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad? Was anybody ever actually trying to make a situation where everyone feels uneasy at home or uneasy at work or uneasy wherever, at the mosque? Right? Let's not pretend that our mosques and our religious centers are immune to these human emotions. Sometimes they get in the way. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. We're adults. But what the Imams want us to be is children at heart. You move on. And so when you go with this kind of mentality, that did anybody intend this? No. Well, then what did they intend? Everybody comes to a mosque, a religious center, starting off a family, starting off a new job, hoping for something better than whatever their previous situation was. Start over there. See where it went wrong. Maybe they weren't the best communicator. A lot of times, that's usually the culprit. Some people are passive aggressive. Some people are aggressive. Some people, unfortunately, have been so hurt from previous relationships, from previous experiences, that they have to go and defend themselves to make sure that they don't get hurt again. All of that is understandable. But then when we go and take it personally, we only make the situation worse, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy for them, and they're like, see, I knew it. Everyone just hates me. Everyone wants to treat me like I'm dumb. Everyone just wants to treat me like I know nothing. Everyone talks to me as if I'm not worthy of this or that or whatever. And we become exactly what our minds put forward. It becomes self-fulfilling prophecies. So why don't we cut that off from the get-go and try to have Husn al-Dhann when we go into these situations for people. That people don't want to hurt me. People want the best for me. People want to see me succeed. People want this center to succeed. My family wants me to succeed. I want my family to succeed. I want my workplace to succeed. My workplace wants me to succeed. When you can start to see the world like that, brothers and sisters, life becomes a lot easier to live. Not just for you, for everyone else around you. You become a joy, a pleasure to be around. Like how Imam Ali alayhi salam, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, says, he says, be amongst people in such a way that people crave your presence when you're not around, and they want to be totally around you when you are around. Right? Oh, kama qal. This is not easy, I will admit, but it's necessary. Why is it necessary? Because at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this religion so that each and every single one of us becomes as close to al-insan al-kamil as possible. When you are in Jannah, you have to be smoothed out, and you have to be someone who everybody in Jannah can get along with. You can't be the one person who always goes and starts problems. You can't be the instigator, and everyone else is just trying to have a nice time. You, anytime someone goes and mentions a single word, you have to go and say, well, actually, that's not what that word actually means. Baba, I don't want to go to heaven with that kind of person. I want to go to heaven with, a paradise with people who are fun to be around, who go and tell me their stories, their experiences, instead of going and browbeating me that this is not what this word means actually, technically. Right? Nobody wants to be around people like that. And so, brothers and sisters, it is the body that does these kinds of things and votes for us before the mind even makes a decision for us. And that brings me to another very interesting point that we have to understand. When it comes to past, present, and future, there is no real such thing as a past or a future. Every single thing that you've ever experienced has always been in the present. There's only ever an ever-present now. And that's where your ruh is. If you ever tried to go and ask, well, where is my ruh, right? It's like trying to say, go, look for your eyes without using a mirror. Look for your eyes. Wow, I'm too close to my eyes to really be able to see it. It's the same with the ruh. The ruh is when you are completely fully aware that you are in the present moment. So all of these things that I just mentioned with regards to family, with regards to work, with regards to the centers, if you in your present moment can just make a decision that, no, you know what? Why do I have to react this way? I don't have to be that person anymore. That's not necessarily who I have to be. I want to be more like Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Let's have another louder salawat. When you can start to actively borrow, that I remember that Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, when he was in a situation, he did this. When Imam Ali al-Hadi was in this other position, he did this. And all you have to do is slowly, like how I said yesterday, how do you build a habit? One step at a time. You don't, because you smoked once, become a smoker. Or just because you did it twice, you become a smoker. But eventually you are building yourself up to a habit, and after a habit, it becomes a second nature. When it can become a second nature that you act, at least in one situation, like an imam, you start to snowball much quicker. And you start to gain momentum much quicker. It's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called in the Quran. There are najdain, there are two highways. All you have to do is just step onto the path and then it'll do the rest. You still have to keep on making motion, but each step takes you further and further into this journey where you are becoming a better person, right? And so what's unfortunate is that your deeds, unfortunately, sometimes in your mind, become who you think you are. And that is exactly what shaitan wants you to think. That, no, you're a sinner. You're that person who did this. How can you come back to Allah and now try to reinvent yourself? Who do you think you are? You think people will fall for this? You think people won't remember that you were that same kid who would always clown around in class? Or you were the same person who, I don't know, you were the same person who in Muḥarram of 2015 said this, that, and the other about the people's family? If you really think that it's that hard, by the way, brothers and sisters, and that people aren't forgiving, right? Number one, have them come back and listen to this lecture because they should also be more childlike and they should also be forgiving. But number two, if it really, really is that hard, just go to a different center. Make a reputation over there until finally you come back and now your actual personality, you're not acting, is exactly like that. Sometimes, by the way, brothers and sisters, the hardest people to convince are the people who know us the most. It is our families. It's sometimes our parents. Where, for example, if a convert or a revert joins Islam and they go to their non-Muslim parents, then they'll sometimes get, and sometimes, by the way, it's worse with Muslim parents that are not religious. The kids will come and they're suddenly more religious. They're treating their parents better. They're doing their wajibat. They're doing all of the things right. And now, mom and dad might maybe still have a bad habit or three left. Or maybe they're doing namima. Maybe they're doing ghiba. Maybe they're still putting you down and it hurts you. And when you go and tell them, hey, uncle, maybe you shouldn't talk to auntie like that. Right? Oh, Someone became a Maulana all of a sudden. I remember when you were at diaper age and I used to change your diapers. And I remember. This is exactly what Fir'aun said to Musa alayhi salam in Surah Al-Shu'ara. أَلَمْ نُرَبِّكَ فِينَا وَلَبِثْتَ فِينَا عُمُرِكَ سِنِينَ. Aren't you the one who we raised? And you lived here for so many years? And now, wow, you've been gone for 10 years. You have a new wardrobe. Fine, you're not dressed like a prince of Egypt. You're dressed like some a hobo shepherd, right? And now you're going to come and talk to me like this, the King of Kings? Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. You're going to talk to your God like this? Interesting. This is the same Musa, by the way, who, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commissioned him, he said, how am I going to go? My tongue can't even move, because the other interpretation is not that, Musa alayhi salam had a physical impediment. We have a problem with this in the Shia school of thought. Why? Because prophets cannot have a physical deformity. So what's the other interpretation? وَيَضِيقُ صَدْرِي وَلَا يَنْطَلِقُ لِسَانِي فَأَرْسِلْ إِلَىٰ هَارُونَ. That my chest tightens, again, that bodily feeling, وَلَا يَنْطَلِقُ لِسَانِي, and my tongue can't even move. Why? Because he dominates the conversation, and I feel so belittled and so small that I don't even know what I should go and say. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala go and say? Kalla. Nah. That's it? Kalla? Yeah. Because once you have Allah by your side, your whole trajectory shifts. You're no longer your past. Musa, whatever you did in your past, even if you think, hey, these guys have a crime written against me, they'll put me on charge for murder. I killed an Egyptian soldier. You think killing an Egyptian soldier in a police state is a joke? Look at how the news treats, let's be honest. Look at how they treat the killing of a Muslim compared to, forget about Jews and Christians, compared to the killing of a cop. If there's a cop killer, every single department is on dispatch. They'll find that guy within 3 hours, 4 hours, because that's one of their own. A Muslim? What are we supposed to do about that? Okay, fine. Sorry for your loss. Thoughts and prayers. Yes or no? Musa alayhi salam, essentially, at his time, killed a cop. Complains to Allah, he's like, you're going to send me and I have a crime over there. I killed a cop. They're not going to let me go easy. Allah's like, nah. No. Kalla. You both can go. I'll send Harun too. But you're going to. You're not getting out of this. Musa, what's interesting, is not saying I don't want to be a messenger. He's like, send me to maybe a different people. Not the one who I had, father problems with. You're making me go and confront this literal Fir'aun. The way how he goes and talks to my adoptive mother, Asya bint Muzahim. The way how he goes and talks to any Egyptian. The way how he talks to us Hebrews. Right? I got away with it because he thought that I was cute as a baby. Right? But even when Musa goes back decades later, right? Eventually, even if it's not decades later, years later, Fir'aun eventually does issue the command, just kill, get rid of Musa. We can't handle him. So sometimes parents might be the first ones who step in front of your way on your progress towards a newer and better personality where your du'as are in line with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, because you are now aligned with what Allah wants. As Surah Al-Baqarah says in ayah number 186, where he says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِ عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِي فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. Then let him go and also respond to me. Meaning, first and foremost, why isn't he responding to my commands? He's expecting all of his du'as to be answered. He's not obeying what I want from him. وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. And let him actually have faith in me. This is what we're trying to tackle in this whole entire lecture series, that we don't have haqqul yaqeen. We don't have aynul yaqeen in what we're asking for from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're just coming to these du'as, to du'a tawassul. We're coming up to Ahlul Bayt with our hajat, hayallah style. We're like, if I could have this or whatever, we're a little bit sincere in the moment and then we forget about it. Inshallah, in the upcoming nights, we'll discuss being constant upon that, because this state, when your body is emitting a signal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you exactly the signal that you are asking for. If you're saying with your lips, Ya Allah, I want X, Y, and Z, but your body is saying, yeah, but I know it's not going to happen. Your body is saying, and your mind is telling your ruh, yeah, but I don't deserve it. Yeah, but, I killed that person in Egypt. Yeah, but this, yeah, but that. Not all of us are going to go to Jabal al-Tur and get a burning bush to go and set us straight. But this is exactly the kind of mentality that we have to adopt. And then, brothers and sisters, there are others who grew up in a household where immediately they were trained like this. Like who, brothers and sisters? Like Aun and Muhammad, the sons of Abdullah ibn Ja'far, the sons of Sayyidah Zainab, alayhi salam. Where on a night like this, they come up to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and they ask for the permission to go off into war. If we could lower the lights, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And every single time they come up to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam to ask for permission to fight, to go towards the battlefield, he keeps on turning them away and he keeps on saying, but you are the remnants of my sister Zainab. You are all that I have. You are the youthful reminders that I have of Zainab. Imam Hussein alayhi salam loved his sister Zainab so much, such that when Rasulullah, it's narrated one time that Rasulullah told Imam Hussein what would happen at Karbala. And when he heard that as a young child, he came and asked his Nana, said, Ya Rasulullah, what will happen to the women? He said, they, Ya Hussein, will become prisoners and they will be marched from city to city. The ghira of Imam Hussein alayhi salam could not take it. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I am okay with that if Allah wants that. But will that be while I am alive or after I die? Because while I'm alive, I can't take seeing my sisters and my women in such a position. He said, no, Ya Hussein, it'll be after you die. And so when Aun and Muhammad arrive at Karbala on the 2nd of Muḥarram with everyone else, Sayyidah Zainab comes and says, Aun and Muhammad, I have one request from you. We have come to Karbala such that we can fight for our Imam and such that we can die for our Imam and defend our Imam and defend this religion. I just have one request of you. If there comes a point where they stop the water from us, and you go and fight and you get to the river Furat, don't take any of the water. And she repeats this on the night of the 9th, where she goes and says to her sons, if you get to the Furat, promise me one thing, that before your master, before Imam Hussein alayhi salam drinks, you do not drink. This, brothers and sisters, is the teaching of Sayyidah Zainab, but also their other teacher, Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Abul Fadl al-Abbas is the one who taught them how to fight. And Abul Fadl al-Abbas learned this from none other than al-Banin. When she goes and says, these brothers and sisters of yours, Hassan and Hussein and Kulthum and Zainab, they are not your siblings. You should always address them as Sayyidati, Sayyidi, Mawlati, Mawlai, Aga, right? My master. So that when Aun and Muhammad are denied once again from going out to the battlefield, Sayyidah Zainab says, ask for Abbas to come to my tent. Abbas immediately comes and he says, Mawlati, you asked for me? And she says, my brother is not giving permission to my sons to go and fight. And all of the ashab of Hussein have died. I want my sons to go out before Ali al-Akbar and for them to be made qurban for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Please go and request and say to Imam al-Hussein, oh Hussein, Zainab says by my haqq, go and send my two kids as qurban for you. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, hearing this, can't take it, and he says, if this is how Zainab is asking, then fine, go off towards battle. It is said that each brother, Imam Hussein and Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, each took one of the brothers and put them up on a horse. Imam Hussein took one and put him up on a horse, and Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas took another and put him up on the horse. Both of these brothers went, and between the two of them made a plan. They said, you take the left side of the army and I will take the right side of the army, and we'll meet in the middle and we'll go and finish off this Umar bin Sa'ad, this nobody, and we will go and defeat all of the enemies of our Mama Janu, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Eventually they do go and kill many of the enemies of Allah, and they do meet in the middle. But when Umar bin Sa'ad sees how they are fighting, he sends the entire army against them. And they eventually are left on their own, and they start asking for their uncle Imam Hussein to please come to their rescue. Imam Hussein and Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas both ride off like lions to the rescue of these nephews, these dear nephews of theirs. And what do they say? One of them was dead, one of them was alive. They go and say to Imam Hussein, Ammu, please go and tell our mother, Sayyidah Zainab, that we honored her will, that we did get to the Furat. But we remembered your thirst, and we remembered the thirst of Sukaina, and we remembered the thirst of Ali al-Asghar, and we did not take a sip of the water. And with that, they took their last breaths, and they died as shuhada. Ala la'natullahi ala al-qawm al-zalimin, wa saya'lamu alladhina zalamu ayya munqalabin yanqalibun. Raise your hands, brothers and sisters. Quickly, we will recite for our hajat 10 times the greatest name of Allah. Allahumma inna nad'uk bismika al-azim al-a'zam al-ajall al-a'azz al-akrami. 10 times, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. إلهي بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها اكشف عنا سوء يا الله. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا، كفر عنا سيئاتنا، وتوفنا مع الأبرار محمد وآله الأطهار. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والجالسين والحاضرين والشهداء والعلماء نقرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة مشفوعة بالصلوات.